Well, Ged. How's it going?
Just living the dream, man. Living the dream. My wife is away for a few days, so I am being the ultimate domestic fella.
How bad are the dishes in the sink right now?
They are above expectation.
Yeah, keeping up.
Keeping up. The only downside is, and of course the timing works that way. Oh, somebody misses when Stacy's not here, so he gets extra sucky, which means he might literally be up and down for this entire podcast.
All right. Well, hopefully he doesn't cut one of those vicious farts
He
around
just
you.
farted.
Oh, great.
Literally just
I
farted.
am glad I am not there in person for that one.
Yep, literally just hammered one out. Yeah.
So it is the 10th episode of The Bad Batch, titled Retrieval, part 2 continuation of the one from last week, which I think is wrapped up after this one. I think you can copy and paste everything we've said about previous episodes about this episode. Maybe
no.
I think no. I was gonna say I did enjoy this one more than previous ones, but no. Let's hear it. You felt strong there. Let's go.
Well, it wasn't shit. I don't really know if I'd say that makes me feel strong about it, but it wasn't trash. It was nice to have a 2-episode arc. I liked Benji. I liked the realization from Omega, who has been, pleasantly naive that there's only one, evil force in the galaxy, and that's the Empire. Still naive,
yeah.
And she makes that, there are other threats out there, not just the Empire. There's people like Mako everywhere. Yeah. I liked it as a coming of age, as a growing moment for her. I liked the entire scenario. I liked what they were up to. I liked the boss that was lying to them. Like Omega even makes a comment in there, like, you shouldn't have to compete for food. Like, there are some really interestingly cool social tie-ins into this episode, which you can look at on a bigger scale. It was a great growing episode for Omega. I actually really, really enjoyed this episode.
She said something in this episode that I have said, and myself naively, not kind of aware of why some people can't. But she said, why don't you just leave and go somewhere else? If it's so bad there, just leave. Yep. And I used to also think like that when I would hear hardships and problems of people like, why not just go somewhere like more awesome? Why would you even bother living there? But I realized that's not really an option. And he kind of like, in a very simple way, just said, I don't know anything else. Like this is all I know. This is my life. Yeah. This is my home.
It was a big social justice episode, a lot of tie-ins, but I thought they did it really well.
Yeah. So, what I was saying earlier, I think my issues with the episode are the same issues we've had with across all of them. It's a one-off story, doesn't push the narrative along, yada, yada, yada. But I thought it was executed far better than the other ones. Which leads me into, I don't necessarily want to talk about this one in general, but there was some interesting discourse on Twitter the other day that I was reading through. And it's something I've thought about as well. And it's the whole notion of, I haven't seen what other people have been saying about the Bad Batch, but I'm assuming a lot of people have been shitting on it and being like, how come you're not showing us Jedis and blah, 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 blah. And the discourse kind of was, like, why aren't people happy that the Bad Batch is expanding the universe, showing us different planets, showing us different characters, stuff like that. Like versus why are people only happy when you jam nostalgia, people they know, references they know down their throat to make them happy, sort of thing. Like, it was kind of like, you know what I mean? And I feel like, to a certain degree, I think you and me have felt like that, but I would also say you and me don't need that. So I kind of agree and / disagree with the sentiment, because
that's fair.
Because we do want new stories and new characters. I don't want to see characters who don't make sense, or like planets and situations that don't make sense show up just for the sake of, shoehorning something in. Yeah. But if you are giving us new stuff, I want it to be like good, like executed well. Like,
I want you to develop it.
Yeah. And like we liked the Gunji episode, but we didn't necessarily like it because, oh my God, that's Gunji. Like I recognize Gunji. I thought there's a little more interesting things going on. And
Yep.
I agree with you what you said this episode. I thought it was a lot more fleshed out and thought out of what they were going through. And again,
Yep.
they give you a glimpse of what life is like on this planet. And they give you just enough, right? They're like the Techno Union ran the mines during like when they were part of the separatists and during the war.
Yep.
And the war ended, they kind of moved out, and Mako kind of came in and took over everything and then started, there's no jurisdiction here. I'm just going to run this mine and
Yep.
these kids like slaves. So like I appreciate, like, even though it's all new characters, but it kind of fits more into like what's going on, in universe. Whereas some of these other one-off episodes, they're off. Like I think I mentioned this last week because we didn't see the city parts, right? It was like, how many distant wastelands can you possibly go to with no inhabitants? Sure, it's a new planet, but there's nothing going on that planet, right? There's nothing to learn about. Whereas this episode was a little bit different in that vein. You kind of get what I'm trying to put down?
Not only that, and I know it's too early to maybe jump to this conclusion. And if people watch this, I would actually really, really like to hear their thoughts on it. I think I know why we don't like this season. I haven't been able to put my finger on it. Like we just said, no.
Yeah.
And I think we got a glimpse as to why we don't like it today. And it's because everything is just a single episode. If these were 4-episode arcs, I bet we would love it. Even the episodes, even some of the worst. Let's look at the episode where Sid gets abducted and held for ransom, and Echo or Tech has to win that race. If that had been 4 episodes, character development, some backstory on Sid, why she is the way she is, some bonding time between Omega and the clones, I bet because we would actually be able to explore those worlds. You just said something, and it was like this aha flashlight went off in my face. You always say, you just mentioned that people are asking, why don't we explore new worlds? Why don't we expand the universe? Well, the issue is we're not expanding the universe. We're rubbing the surface of a planet and we're leaving. Like that Dooku thing, even if it hadn't been filled with Easter eggs, which you and I both know is a huge miss.
Yeah.
If they had spent 3 days, 3 episodes on that planet, we probably would have loved it because we would have known about the planet. We would have known more about the people.
We don't know a lot about Serrano other than, Dooku's castles there.
What was it like when he was in power there? What was his army like?
What were the locals like? Did they respect Dooku? Were they in prison? Like,
we would love it. Yeah. But we're just getting these 1-episode skims. And the reason why I think I liked this one better is we actually got a second episode. We actually got to explore the planet a little bit more, to learn about the background of it and how they ended up being there and why people are the way that they are.
It's a good point, because when the episodes are only like 25 minutes long, like there's not a lot of time to develop something of a new place you're going. And to your point, by getting 2 episodes, they gave you the opportunity to actually learn a little bit more.
Yeah. And Andor was awesome. Everything was an arc. I mean, Andor was awesome for a lot of reasons. But one thing that made Andor so captivating is even though it was 10, 12 episodes long, whatever it was, you were pumped for this 3-episode arc. You were so pumped to see what the next 3 episodes, because you knew they were going to take the time to develop that story. And that's
I know the name of streets on Andor. You know what I mean? Like Rick's Road is the main street down the downtown. Like it's like
that is what they've missed in this Bad Batch. All they had to do, in my opinion, is stop telling 12 different stories over 16 episodes. Tell 4 and make each 4 episodes, or tell 5, or tell 6 and have 18 episodes. Give me that 3 thing so I can explore the planet, so I can emotionally invest in that planet. And that's where they missed.
Yeah, and
over.
And part of the season as well, right? Like last season, I can't remember if they were extended arcs or not, but this season like we've had the 2 episodes in the middle, that 2-parter, right? We had the 2-parter we just had, and then everything else has been standalone fetch quests.
Yeah,
and it's more or less the same formula. We've talked about it a million times. They're paid by Sid to go do something. They fail. They don't get the money. They leave, and they're in and out in a blink of an eye of whatever space station, planet, wherever they've been. And then the other stuff like the Cody storyline and the Crosshair and stuff like that, they're just too few in between. Like there's just not enough of that, especially to be on episode 10.
Yeah.
And to say that 7 or not 7, but 6 of the episodes have been one-off
trash.
Go get this, fail, come back.
But the first season, in its defense, didn't need the arcs because we were on Camino.
Exactly.
We knew. We were already emotionally invested.
They went to Saw Gerrera's planet. We already knew that. They were on. I think that might have been. They were in familiar locations, so they didn't have to. It was just everything was focused just on the clones, and all those storylines were really about the chip and what was going to happen with Crosshair, right? That was really the cusp of that season, which made it great. And this season, without inserting the clone drama and stuff like that, we haven't. They're just, it's just there hasn't been a lot to really dive into.
Even that ancient warrior, weird ass dinosaur thing, where there's obviously a reason it was there. Yeah, give me a 3-episoder on what that ancient civilization was like.
Yeah, give us
their tie-ins.
2-3, and with Fallen Order, give us some more stuff from Fallen Order.
Yes,
that even tell us. There has to be an inscription or engraving on the wall that said, "Oh, this is says this civilization."
Yes,
and give it a little something. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they're rushing through the one-offs, but it's definitely hurt this season.
Oh, big time.
But they still I got faith that they know what they're doing. I just feel like the way this season was planned out was poor.
Yeah, no,
so
I agree.
far. And so I think first season was 16 episodes. If we're assuming that's going to be the same for this season, that means we got 6 left. I would imagine the last 2 or 3 will be an arc, and it's going to have Cody, Rex finding the missing clones, and maybe tie in to Mount Tantus. That'll be the juicy part that people are waiting for. But we might have 3 or 4 one-off fetch. Go get this. Go save this person in random place till we get there. Which is, given the formula they've used so far, which is probably likely and unfortunate, but at least this episode was a little bit stronger quality than the previous.
I agree.
Do you want to rate this?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this thing a 7.2.
7.2? What did I give last week? I gave 7.5, and you laughed at me. Was it 7.5 I gave, or 7.3? 7.5?
You were 7.5. I thought you were out to lunch.
All right. So it did not pay off in the connected ways that I was thinking it may, but I thought this week's story was definitely better than the setup from last week. So I got to go. I'm not going to go much higher. I'm going to go 7.6. Again, I feel like that's better than what we've been getting. See, that 7.6 range, mid-7, that's the enjoyable TV range.
My
give me more
area,
of
great.
that.
Yeah, it's good.
Give me more of that. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see what we get next week, and on Monday we'll be on your channel doing a 2-part review for The Last of Us.
Yep, Monday was Family Day. I just decided that Family Day was about family. It wasn't about streaming. It wasn't about work. It wasn't about anything other than spending time with those you care about. So we will be back for a doubleheader review.
Let me just quickly check to see if it is the finale.
Oh, for Monday? Yeah, I'm actually probably going to go watch it right after this.
Monday's 26. Oh, no. So next week this Monday's episode 7. I think episode 8 is the finale. So March 5th
is the finale. The penultimate coming up.
So there, So we got, a couple more. It's getting close, though.
So good. And then Mando.
Oh.
A week, something like that.
See, and this is what I'll say about Mando as well. Like, you know, I was saying earlier, there was that argument on Twitter, well, like discourse about why aren't people happy and like why do they need that. The other thing too was people expect to like have every episode be interconnected to everything. You know what I mean? Whereas like I thought Andor was successful and it wasn't really interconnected to everything except for leading up to the movie we know it's going to lead to. But like Mando's not necessarily season 1. Mando season 2 was very much how much crap can we jam in from everywhere and have people love it. And you know what? Like every show doesn't need to be like that, but I loved it. Like I think we loved it. I think most people loved it.
God, yeah.
But when I think about it though, still one of my favorite episodes from season 2 of Mando was the one with Mayfeld when they what's the word I'm looking for? When they go undercover as tank commander troopers into that Imperial base. And he has that, he sits down at the table with
Bill Burr.
With the old captain or whatever. And it just like that episode was purely original. Like there was nothing shoehorned into that. And that was still one of my favorite, and strictly because it was well written and Bill Burr gave like an incredible performance.
Yeah, he was good.
So it shows like you don't need all that shit jammed in, but if you get it and they do it tastefully, it's great. Yeah. But you know, at the end of the day, it just comes down to writing and execution.
Yeah.
So hopefully we see that in Mando season 3, and hopefully we maybe get some of that in the latter half here of Bad Batch.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. All right, that will wrap it up for us. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this episode and really the 2-episode arc. And we will see you all on Monday and Wednesday. Good night, everyone.